Wade, did you catch any of the international wrestling over the weekend? Or was there anything you cherry picked? What did you see? What did you like?
Yes, I saw probably maybe the three most notable matches that people might have been discussing. Two from the Marigold show with Saray versus Julia, and also Io Sky versus Utami Hayashishita, and also AJ Styles versus Naomichi Marufuji.
I saw the Styles Marufuji match. I do have the Marigold show, but I have not had a chance to watch it today. I thought the Styles Marufuji match was excellent. They had over 4,100 people at Budokan Hall, and I just thought like it was so evident, especially hearing from AJ after the match too. Like you could tell it was obviously something very serious to him, wrestling Marufuji at Budokan Hall. This was hardly something that he was just taking as just, just a date that WWE is sending me out for. It was like a 25-minute match, and I just thought that AJ worked his ass off in this match, and I think Marufuji saw it as a big deal for him as well. So this was one I would certainly encourage you to go out of your way to see. And when you contrast this with the matches he had with Cody, especially the one in France, like here is a guy that we kind of take for granted is 47 years old. And to have two of those matches at the age of 47 is pretty remarkable. But this guy's an excellent talent, and you don't like even with the looser restrictions in WWE, like you do see kind of a difference here in this kind of a setting. And I think that a lot of people took note of this match being sort of, they presented in this dream match scenario, and I thought that they really did a great job.
Yeah. So we know AJ Styles is great. He's arguably maybe enjoying like one of the stronger runs, though limited it may be. Like I feel like this is some of the most serious work that he's done at like, the main event level in quite some time. And even though he's 47, we're discounting the effect of the ice bath, John. We're talking about ice bath AJ right now, okay? And that's a different level of AJ Styles. It's added like 10 years to his career, I bet. He's in like
47 in human years, but but the ice age takes off at least 15.
That's exactly it. Yeah. He really is just in incredible shape, and he clearly looked more than motivated going back to Japan and having this match with Marufuji. I think like, as big of a deal as I think it might be for Pro Wrestling Noah, I think like somebody like AJ sees it as a personal challenge to go back and try to get over, as he's already over, of course, with the Japanese audience, but to live up to those expectations of at this point, like almost feeling like a legend coming in. And
it's Budokan Hall. Like you're someone of AJ's, upbringing, and like that's a giant. It's an arena that comes with a lot of history and pageantry behind it. If you are someone that came up of the All Japan Glory period, like this was, and this was the second biggest crowd of the year for Noah, and it was a great crowd that they had just vocally in terms of being into this match. Like they saw this as a big deal, and this was second from the top as well.
Yeah, I mean AJ to me like looked like a standout star here. Marufuji, I think is great, is very good. Looked like I think the expectations we have of him as like the star veteran that he is. But to me, AJ like looked very close to I think what you might have expected him in his best days, and that's. Like this is of course like a great thing for Noah, but I also think it's a great thing for the WWE. I do think like having that sort of online independent, cred is something that's very valuable these days, even for a mainstream company like the WWE. And having this sort of association, having this sort of performance from AJ Styles, I think like gives that to him. I would say the same for Io Sky. Like she looked incredibly motivated in that Marigold match against Utami. It was the type of match where like she basically dominated most of it, and you had Utami basically selling for almost all of it. And Utami selling was excellent in that match. But man, Io Sky, I think she's been great for like a while now. I'll say ever since WrestleMania. I feel like she's like really kind of like hit a higher gear in terms of her intensity in ring, sporadically, that we get to see on WWE TV, but like getting to see it in a Japanese setting with that sort of style against a talent like Utami, she felt like a superstar coming in, first of all, with her entrance. Secondly, with like the new charisma that I think she's adopted during her time in the WWE. And also just like the level of sharpness and dominance and aggression that I think she was able to show as well. So both of those WWE like stars being on loan to these, Japanese promotions, to me, come out feeling like bigger stars, if you did take the time to watch it, or just even through word of mouth like I'm providing right now. And then the Julia Sarii match was the main event, and Sarii won, became the first Marigold champion. I thought it was a very good match. Both of them looking very good. Julia, I don't think showing really any effects of, that injury. Like, she looked as good as I've seen her. They did use it in the storyline with, or in the story of the match with Sarai attacking her wrist, and Sarai ended up winning it. Now, the finish was really interesting because it was Sarai winning with a submission to the arm, but Julia not really tapping and not even really giving verbal tapping. And the immediate reaction from the announcers was to suggest that, to say that, hey, like, Julia didn't tap, so it was sort of like a weird disputed finish, undoubtedly probably to protect Julia en route to her going to the WWE. But it was just kind of unusual, given that this was a title change and we don't know if there's going to be a rematch coming up. There could be, but I kind of expect like Julia to be pretty well protected from this point on until she gets to the WWE.
Now, these were only 2 matches and in separate promotions, but number one, do you see this, for certain big shows, do you expect talent to routinely be sent by WWE? And number two, do you feel like this was something that, especially in the earlier days of the ROH New Japan relationship, we would see when New Japan talent would get sent over, and it became pretty obvious, like, the New Japan talent, the key talent, were not losing matches. And is that going to be a case here? That, I mean, it's... Yes. We look in the short term, this is great. Noah gets AJ Styles, Marigold gets Io Sky, but it's kind of that thing where, okay, well, we are kind of conditioning our audience that these are the big stars, and they come in for a night, but then they leave, and we're asked to come back week after week for the people that we are establishing as a tier below the real stars. And maybe that's always a risk when you are here with WWE, and what you get out of it, but also what you are presenting to your audience.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I don't expect, any WWE star coming in to lose, with the exception of like some of these N1 participants. I think Tavion Heights might be taking.
I don't know. I think they're going to run the table and meet in the finals.
Yeah, could be.
Tavion Heights,
yeah,
undefeated. We'll get into the N1 announcements.
I think when you're talking about like, your former champion level coming in as a big star, I at this point I would expect all of them to go over like in these sort of conquering sort of like roles where they're coming in and like providing the sort of I don't know, luster of being a WWE star. Like WWE has all the leverage in this relationship, and they can call the shots about who wins. And a company like Noah or Marigold, I think, will be happy to accept those terms to get some of that promotion.
We mentioned the N1 Victory Tournament, so that is Noah's annual, kind of their version of the G1 tournament, and we got the announcement of the participants. So this will start beginning of August the 4th, and it runs until August 25th, so about a week shorter than the G1 in length. But the A block will feature GHC champion Kaito Kiyomiya, Go Shiozaki, Masa Kitamiya, Ryohei Oiwa, who is still on loan from New Japan, Jack Morris, Dragon Bane, from Dragon Gate will be Luis Monte, and from NXT, Josh Briggs, because I think I predicted on January 1st when we were making predictions, Josh Briggs versus Go Shiozaki, likely. I think that's what I said at the beginning of the year. I believe we thought we were getting that matchup. The B block will feature Keno, Manabu Soya, Yuka Sasaki, Yoshiki Inamura, Hio de Dr. Wagner Jr., Alpha Wolf, Titus Alexander, and Tavion Heights, who has, in theory, replaced Damon Kemp in the no quarter catch crew. So I love the idea of NXT having this idea of sending 2 people that we see something in and sending them to wrestle in a very competitive tournament that they are going to get something out of over these 3 weeks. And I think it's more so interesting just these are the two that they chose. And that does give you some insight into what they see in these two, that they can have something that this is of value to them to go and do this tournament. And I hope WWE takes advantage of this with other talents.
Very much so, yeah. There's a lot of like interesting thought to, I think, gain from these sort of moves. Like just the relationship with like Noah in general, I find it very fascinating. Like, what exactly is WWE getting out of all of this? I'm suggesting, okay, some level of indie cred, that might benefit somebody like an AJ Styles on their return back to the WWE. Maybe like,
you know what this is, Way? It's like, why are we running the Florida Loop in front of 300 fans when we can get people to, we will earn money by sending our guys out and they can cover their, like, these are our house shows. Like, these are better for house shows for us. We want to get experience, do it on someone else's dime. We don't have to be running all these regular NXT live events. Like, I think like we're going to see, like, just based on the schedule that's come out for the rest of this year, they are so lacking with house shows that I think that's the idea, is that you're either ready and we don't need these house shows, and for those that do need talent, we can come up with more unique opportunities. And I think this is just the beginning of, sending, take your guy, pick your person on the roster that you see hope for, and maybe we can send someone for 3-4 months on an excursion to Japan or Mexico or wherever we have these partnerships with.
I think it's showing to the world that like this is definitely more of a relationship than just these one-offs that we're seeing, with like a Nakamura going to Noah, for instance. Like, they are actually going to be sending talent on excursion like for a month to, have these sort of matches. And that might present some form of like competition to what AEW can offer, like those sort of freedoms to people who might choose to sign there. Like, we've heard for a long time somebody like Bryan Danielson really wanted to go to New Japan, and they were willing to grant that for him. This might be a version of that might give the WWE some form of leverage for people who want to explore the world outside of the WWE. I think like the Bloodsport sort of allowances, I suppose we could say, for like the Creeds and like Shayna Baszler are some form of this as well.
Yeah,
I find it very
they've just added Charlie Dempsey to that Bloodsport show, and he's kind of on like this kind of excursion now with TNA. Like, he's doing TNA stuff regularly. So, I mean, I think that's sort of their idea is, like, what is a Tavion Heights going to get more out of doing Level Up and NXT TV matches for 6-7 minutes, or doing the Florida Loop, versus what is he going to get in 3 weeks working with Keno and the Dr. Wagner Jr. Like, he's going to get so much more out of this 3-week experience than probably 6 months of live events and level ups and, 6-mans on NXT. I think it's a different audience that you're working in front of. It's, he's going to have to do singles matches in all these tournaments. And, these guys, like, especially at Tavion Heights, like, you are, this is going to be a big learning curve for him, but that's sort of what you want to put these guys into situations where they have to adapt, and hopefully they rise to the occasion.
Let me ask you, who do you think Noah wanted for the N1?
You don't think this was, well, I'm sure they wanted
What was their
Jensen.
wanted list? What was their request list? And what?
Well, here's the question. Do you think, had this been 2 months ago, do you think Damon Kemp's in this role?
Depends on what future they saw for Damon Kemp. Clearly not much of it.
Yeah, they probably did not see this.
Yeah.
But I mean, Tavion Heights, I would imagine, like, they at some point made that decision of, we're getting rid of Damon Kemp and Tavion Heights is going to take that spot, and we're going to send him on this. Send him over here.
I understand from WWE's perspective, like they clearly can't give anybody that they're going to be using on a regular basis. Like just like AEW is not willing to give up too many people, for the G1 that they need. But I'm also curious to know like what Noah actually like who are their first, second, and third picks. And how far along did we get until we got the Josh Briggs?
Listen, I think Josh Briggs will actually. I think he'll look fine in this tournament. He might even surprise some people. Like, I'm very curious to see a Josh Briggs, because we have seen this guy, have some very good performances in NXT, and I'm looking forward to seeing him here. Tavion Heights, like, this is a guy who's had 60 matches in his career, but it's going to be a tremendous opportunity for him. I guess another question is, I would be stunned if there's going to be any mention of AJ's Noah performance on SmackDown. Like, they're probably not going to mention that. At NXT, you could do a story here where the No Quarter Catch crew sends Tavion Heights, or you keep people updated on how Josh Briggs is doing in this prestigious tournament overseas. Like, it can benefit these characters that you are letting them know. It's like what we always spoke about with Lance Archer going to the G1, and it was almost like he's doing this tournament, but there's no benefit if you're just the AEW viewer, that he's out of sight, out of mind. And I hope they incorporate this and they come back, and it gives a reason to push these two guys when they come back after this tournament.
I hope so too, because it automatically gives these two a storyline upon return, even while they're away, to just let people know what they're up to. This is really cool for anybody in the WWE system to participate in, and makes these two feel special. I would totally use it, at least in storyline or promotion.